Thank you for joining me for another episode of Life Experiences with Dr. Amanda. So, today we are going to focus on pride, and not just pride in general, but recognizing pride within our own selves, because that's really the only pride that matters. I know even when we think about pride, like when I think about myself, I don't think about a prideful person, because what comes to mind is like that rich person or that athlete who walks around with his or her head up, and you can really just see that arrogancy or whatever. But pride that I'm talking about is for people like myself, who when I look at myself, I'm like, I'm not a prideful person. Recognizing pride within ourselves, because pride is something that's it can be very obvious and big, or it can be something that's very deceptive and sneaky. And so that's what we need to do. We need to be able to recognize when there's pride in us, because we don't want Satan to have the opportunity to use anything in our lives. We want God to be able to get the glory out of our lives. And so I think I mentioned in the past video that God showed me in areas where I had pride, and it was very surprising to me because I really didn't see myself as that kind of person. And what pride simply is conceit in one's own superiority. And so, really, that could be in anything. I could be having pride in thinking that I'm holier than other people because I do some things that I don't see them doing. Like I study my word more, or I read the Bible more, or I go out and witness more. It's simply comparing ourselves to someone else or others and thinking that we're better in that type of thing. And that's not our place to do, because God never tells us to compare ourselves to others, but we're always to compare ourselves to His Word, so that we can always rise higher and higher in Him and above anything that's not like Him. So that's going to be our focus today, simply pride. And so, like I said, it can be very small, and it's even one of those things that it can be easy to ignore. And that's where the issue comes in. If we see anything in ourselves that's not bringing glory and honor to God, and we ignore it, that allows Satan an opportunity to come in and use that for something that won't be for the glory and the honor of the Lord. There's a scripture that simply says, it starts out with, pride goeth before destruction. And that's so true. And it may not be something massive that happens, but destruction is when anything that God would have us to do, we're not in the place to do it because we haven't done what He told us to do. Like we haven't focused on that pride and gotten it out of ourselves. If God shows it to us, that's His love for us, showing us that He wants us to be perfected in Him. So anything in us that we lay before Him and we lay there on the altar, God is going to take care of. And the thing about it is, if we ignore it, then we're saying that we're okay, and that doesn't allow God to get it out of us. And so another thing about pride, it can come through something that's just instantly. For example, I had a situation just the other day where someone complimented me on singing a song, and I was like, thank you. But then I noticed that the devil put in my mind immediately, because someone else in the church sang that same or led that same song, they're comparing you to that person. The individual never said that. She simply said, I enjoyed you singing the song. Had nothing to do with that other person. But that was just a simple example of an opportunity where Satan will use pride. Because if I start comparing myself to, oh, they think I'm better than that other person, that's pride creeping in. And what that's actually doing is tapping into something that was in my own heart that needed to be dealt with. And so those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. Not allowing Satan any opportunity to access anything within us. Being pure and clean. And the only way he can access anything within us is that if we're putting things within ourselves. And once again, that goes back to our conversations. That goes back to what we're accessing, allowing ourselves to access. For example, in this time, we have so many things that we can freely go to. Like the internet is just open. And so there are some things I really shouldn't even pay attention to. Like we have the opportunity to see how much some people make if they work for, state jobs and things like that. We have the opportunity to see the square footage in people's houses. But why should I be looking at those things? Because that allows Satan an opportunity of me comparing myself to someone else. And the perfect example is Eve. Eve was totally fine with everything that God had given them and the authorities he had given to them, and just taking care of them, until Satan put it in her mind that she wasn't. She allowed him to have access to her through a conversation that was not even needed. And so it brought forth pride. And then pride made her want to be like God, or what she thought would have been like God. And so I'm going to stop there. Thank you all for listening. Please subscribe to the channel and please share with someone else. As I've said many times, I simply want this to be an avenue to witness to people and just to build people up and encourage them. The next time we are going to talk about self-discipline. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.